back to all of you. Nice to see you again, Kim and Archie and Patricia for another Art of Letting Go live session. So yeah, let's dive into today's quote, which is a great one. I actually used this beginning of the course manual, the Art of Letting Go course, because it really summarizes very beautifully what we're trying to do in the entire course in one simple sentence. Let me share my screen with you. Let me know when you can see that. Yeah, can you see the screen? Yeah, great. So Kim, if you can read that quote for us by Brené Brown, kindly, to kick it off.
Authenticity is a daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are.
Yeah, great quote by Brené Brown, who's a professor, lecturer, author, and podcast host, which emphasizes the need for practicing the art of letting go every day, so we can let go of the false egoic self that society tries to tell us is who we are and discover who we truly are. So it's a daily, I like the emphasis on daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be. So if you don't know who you are, the world is going to try and impose that version of yourself, a false version of yourself, that it thinks you should be on you. Have you noticed that? If you don't have a clear understanding of who you are, vision for your life, then the world is going to try and tell you that. And that's not authentic. If someone else, other people, the world is telling you who you are and what you should be doing, you're not being authentic. You're not being true to yourself. So to be authentic is just to practice letting go of those ideas of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we really are in the process. So by letting go of the false self, who we think we're supposed to be, we naturally allow and embrace the true self to arise in our mind. That's how it works. By denying the false, we allow the true to arise. If we honor the false, then we deny the truth. So it's very binary. It's one or the other. That's how duality works. You can't accept two opposing thought systems simultaneously because they cancel each other out. They deny each other. So you must choose between them in every moment. Authenticity is the practice of making the right choice, which is letting go of the false self, of who we think we're supposed to be, and embracing who we are. That practically the rubber meets the road, and we change our mind, we change our perception about a situation. So instead of being angry and upset and fearful and whatever other negative emotions we're experiencing, we let those go. And in the process of doing that, we're reminding ourselves of who we really are, which is a loving, peaceful, joyful being, mind, awareness. That now connects us with our authentic self, which is who we really are. And by practicing letting go daily, we just keep reminding ourselves of who we are. I'm going to take you to this diagram you've looked at before. This is the Holy Trinity. This is an operating system for your life. So yeah, it shows it quite nicely here in visual form. By changing your perception, true perception, Christ vision, miracles, corrections, forgiveness, letting go, finding your flow. These are all, very similar words. Other teachings can call it surrender or acceptance. Course calls it salvation and atonement and the last judgment and the second coming. Enlightenment, satori, rebirth, resurrection, awakening, grace, transformation, intuition, guidance, and healing. all of those refer to this process of letting go, changing your mind, changing your perception, and then by doing that, you embrace who you are. So you remind yourself of your true self, or your higher awareness, the extension of perfect love, the Son of God, the Christ, the Buddha, the Atman, the soul, whatever language you want to use. You remind yourself of who you are, and you connect with that authentic self by changing your mind. So you become more and more authentic, more and more connected to this true self, and eventually you realize that you are just this pure awareness from which the self derives. God takes the final step, means you just merge back in to that pure awareness. But in the meantime, your work lies at this level. It's called A Course in Miracles, because he's saying this is where the work lies. Right? You've got to change your perception and change your mind about the world. So all the people, things, places, events, circumstances, situations, trauma, successes, failures, and all experiences that seem to exist and happen in the physical universe of time and space, you need to change your mind about them. Seek not to change the world and change all of this, but change your mind about it. That is true perception or Christ vision. That's the miracle. That's the correction or letting go, which then strengthens your awareness of your true self. And so you become more and more authentic by letting go, which is exactly what Brené Brown is saying here. If you go back to the quote, sorry, wrong one. Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be, i.e. a false constructed self that society and other people tell us we are, and embracing who we really are. Put a really there, but we get the idea. Very, very profound quote. One of my favorite quotes, which I use at the beginning of the Art of Letting Go course, because it summarizes this process. It summarizes the truth and this very process-oriented quote, saying it's about a practice of letting go daily. It's exactly what we're doing every day for the next 4.5 weeks during the course, and then ongoing, is practicing letting go so we can connect with our authentic self. And one of the ways we do that is through breath work. So we're in the middle of the Lifeboat Breathwork course as part of the Art of Letting Go course. If you recall, lesson 2, we did breath watching, and this is a body scanning, breath watching with body scanning technique that's actually based on the Vipassana meditation technique that the Buddha originally taught, which has a long history. It goes back 2,500 years ago. And so the Buddha taught this because this is the way he came to his own enlightenment, just by watching the breath and observing the sensations in the body. He realized that you start to detach from the mind, you start to observe, you can see, become aware of emotion through the sensations of the body. That was his key insight. So by observing the sensations in the body, you become aware of emotion, and now you're aware of a block. Emotion is one of the primary blocks to awareness of love's presence. So you're aware of it, and then you can let it go by detaching your mind from that sensation. So instead of going, oh, this is terrible and I'm feeling so terrible, and honoring that, you just observe it equanimously. You don't name it, label it, judge it. You just observe it as a sensation, and so you start letting go of the sensation and of the meaning you've given to the sensation. That's the big thing. Today's lesson is I've given everything I perceive all the meaning that it has for me. So we let go of the meaning that we perceive in everything. So yeah, it's a great little practice. So we do a breath watching and body scanning meditation for maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and then we'll go into our lesson. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Well,
John,
that's
sorry, I
one.
just need to step away for a few minutes.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. Do that, and then just rejoin.
Okay.
We'll get started with the meditation.
Okay.
Minute
All
or
right,
two.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All
All
right,
right.
thanks. Okay.
Okay. So let's start the meditation. This is a breath watching and body scanning meditation, which is based on the Anapanasati technique and Vipassana. They call them Buddhist teaching. Doesn't really matter what you call them. They're just techniques that really help your mind to connect with its true awareness and detach from the body. So just sitting comfortably, your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight. Up your hands in your lap, or put your hands palms facing upwards on your thighs. And just closing your eyes. Starting off a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in and out through the nose. Notice how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Notice how the stomach subsides as you breathe out. And then in again. Breathing in and out. Notice the breath flowing into your nostrils as you breathe in and out of your nostrils as you breathe out. And try and focus your attention on the nostrils. And focus on the subtle sensations of the breath going into the nostrils and out of the nostrils. Notice those subtle sensations as you breathe in. Keep breathing, focusing on the breath. Going deeper and deeper with each breath. This lovely, peaceful, calm, relaxed sensation. The mind wanders, just bring it back to the gentle rhythm of the breathing, focusing on the subtle sensations of the breath flowing into your nostrils. Getting more and more relaxed with each breath. So just breathing for a few more minutes, focusing on the breath flowing into the nostrils and out of the nostrils. There's the subtle sensations in the nostrils, maybe on the tip of your nose as well, and in this area between your nose and your upper lip. Notice the air flowing over that area as you breathe in, and then subtly touching that area as you breathe out. Just do a few minutes of this nice, deep, rhythmical breath watching. Your mind wanders, just bring it back to this very subtle sensation of the breath. Focus all your attention on the breath. Sinking deeper and deeper. And wanting to trust this process. Even though it's not familiar, thousands of years old, it works. And the subtle sensations of the nose. You think of other things, just gently let them go, and just a couple of minutes of deep kind of breathing. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, be still. And focus on the breath. And notice the tendency of your mind to wander and change, but focus on the breathing. It anchors your mind in the present moment. And your mind can't wander if you just focused on breathing correctly. So now just gently, while you maintain that rhythmical pattern of breathing in and out through your nose, with your awareness into areas of your body. So start and just be aware of crown of your head. The back of your head. Continue breathing. Keep breathing. And out through your nose. Nice deep rhythmical breath. And when your awareness down the back of your head, your neck, your face, your lips, your nose, and your ears. At this awareness, lovely peace and calm you should be feeling. Move down your neck and shoulders, and breathe into the neck and shoulders. And it is going on in your neck, your shoulders, equanimously without attachment. Whatever's going on, whatever pain, suffering, this is how this awareness goes down into and is happening in your arms, the weight of your arms, and feel sensation in your arms. And your awareness pull back up. The arms from your fingertips to your wrists, your hands. Notice what's happening in your upper back, your chest. And there's this sensation in your upper back, your chest. You keep this awareness run into the middle back, your chest. Let this awareness run down spine into and this awareness down to your stomach. Maybe you feel a nice relaxed, soft, warm feeling in the stomach. Just notice subtle sensations of the body and the breath that's going on, but you don't name it or judge it or label it. Don't name or judge or label anything. Be aware of these without any judgment. So the whole point of Vipassana or body scanning is to not judge. It's non-judgmental awareness. Simply let this awareness run down through the buttocks, the hips, and the stomach is feeling nice and calm, peaceful, soft, warm. Notice that. The more you notice it, the more grateful you actually are. Let your awareness run down from the groin, the buttocks, to one leg and then another. And just keep watching the breath, observing the sensations in the body. Sinking deeper and deeper, cutting out all external distractions. Notice how peaceful and calming it is, joyful, even blissful. Notice how this lovely, peaceful, calm but light awareness goes down. And there's the weight of your legs falling off the body. The legs pressing into the ground. Extend this feeling through your entire legs, the groin, and there's a nice warm sensation in your stomach, in your chest as well. And then move your awareness down and just observe entire leg. Just one leg at a time to do the left. Observe the whole body. Just zoom out briefly from the specifics of your leg, your toe. Observe the whole body. And just it's here already. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Breathe, relax, and be still. Notice how peaceful and calm you feel. Surrendered your mind is. And zoom out again, just observe your entire body, breathing, and another minute or two of deep silence. There's deep peace developing you. You don't have to try become peaceful, it's just there. Once you let go of what blocks the awareness of that. What you've done in the last 20 minutes or so. So run your awareness now all the way up from your toes, feet, through your ankles, shins, and just observe the subtle sensations in the body, in your knees, up into your upper thighs, back of your thighs, your groin, buttocks, Just running your awareness up your stomach, your lower back, observing the subtle sensations in the body equanimously, so there's no judgment of them, there's no craving for more sensation that's pleasurable or aversion of any so-called negative sensation. Just observe equanimously. Notice how peaceful and calm your mind is. Observe your upper back, your chest, observing the sensation in your arms, your fingertips, run your awareness all the way up your arms to your neck and shoulders. Now you can just drop those shoulders, relax them consciously. Observing, and you're the pure witness, just observing the sensations in these areas of your body without trying to change them. And naturally they do change when you do that. There's a transformation effect that happens. Finally, run your awareness up the back of your head. The crown of your head, up your face, ears, and just zoom out for a bit and observe your entire body. Just as one feeling, one sensation, just observe that with another part of your mind, your higher awareness. And just stay in that observer state, the pure witness. Nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Breathe, relax, and be still. The next 2 minutes or so in deep silence. And stay in this higher awareness, this transcendent awareness, observing the breath, observing the body. Noticing how peaceful else to do, nowhere else to go. Just breathe, relax, and be still. And in silence, take you deeper. I just gently bring your awareness back into the body and the breath, senses, and by that into the world. So on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, a subtle flow of air into the nostrils. 1, just top of the inhale, scan your mind and notice any thoughts and emotions, related body sensations going on. Breathe into them, you're breathing in light. If you want to visualize light, you can. Otherwise, just hold an awareness of that light. So if there's anything that feels negative, limiting, contracted, constricted, untoward in any way, let it go out through your mouth. Count to 2, breathing it away. On the count of 2, notice how the energy subsided back down. Front channel of your body coming to rest in your lower stomach and your groin. And just the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling and touching with your hands. There's a subtle smell in your nose. So anchor this nice, calm, connected state of mind in. This is your natural state, your default state. Everything else is illusion. Accept that now. You actually just rest in this, and call many things, but I quite like the peace of God. Surpasses all understanding, because it's not logical. You hold this awareness, stay in this awareness the rest of the session, the rest of the evening. So it is said, so it is done. And on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So just taking some time to look around, ground yourself back. Notice how peaceful and calm you feel compared with half an hour ago. So you acknowledge the state, you acknowledge the power of meditation and of this particular technique, which is designed to help you connect with your higher awareness, detach from the breath and the body, just watching them, observing them equanimously. So equanimity requires no judgment, which means that it's really the same as forgiveness. To be equanimous is to have forgiven or to have let go of whatever negativity you are harboring. Or whether you call it forgiveness or you call it non-attachment or letting go, it's all the same thing. Hopefully you're starting to realize that experientially through these practices. So that brings us to the end of meditation. So if you're feeling a bit kind of zoned out, finished out, you can just do a quick minute of breathing. So to energize yourself, just push the arms out. Out and then down, and do double exhales. Just do 30 seconds or minutes of that. And another 20 seconds. And another 10 seconds. Done. So yeah, I need to do that for myself actually. Hopefully you enjoyed that. But it's an example of one of the techniques in the course that you can use just to kind of energize yourself after a deep meditation like that. Okay, so any thoughts on that? Anyone want to share an experience on that? Of the breath watching and body scanning. It should have been very calming, very peaceful, very restful. It's a lovely technique. So that could become one of your go-to techniques, one of your foundational breath work and meditation techniques. You like it. Any comments or questions about that?
Yeah, do feel calmer. I mean, it just slows the mind. I mean, it's still the mind's going, but it definitely slowed it down more than what it has been.
But just by observing the breath from the body, equanimously, without judgment, you're giving not giving the mind any food for thought. The idea is just really about quieting the mind. So all of the mind's judgments, thoughts, perceptions, all of that stops because you're just focusing the mind on something else, the breath and the body. That's the idea. So that's what meditation does. The mantra focuses the mind on something else so that you let go of all of that thinking. And when you stop thinking as much, you automatically find more peace. It's a very, very simple idea, but it's about practicing it. You get the benefit when you practice because it's not theoretical exercise, it's a practical exercise in finding more peace. And in the process also learning to let go of your mind's attachments to the body and the emotional attachments show up in the body. That's really the genius of the technique. The Buddha figured that out and said, well, this is a way then to let go of the mind's attachments, i.e. it's calmer by simply observing equanimously all the sensations in the body, because emotion creates sensation in the body. So it's a letting go technique that really focuses in on the emotional stuff, the feelings. It's more a feeling than a thinking technique. But both have their merits. Which leads us quite nicely into today's lesson. So the lesson is lesson 2. I've given everything I perceive all the meaning that it has for me. Very simple, short lesson. Yes. Stop this recording. Okay, so anyway, some lesson. There we go. Okay, so Kim, if you want to read that, today's lesson. Yesterday's is nothing I see means anything. So you asked, just to summarize, ask us to look around wherever we are and say that this table, this chair, this whatever we're looking at doesn't mean anything. Now expands on that idea by saying that I've given everything I see in this room or place all the meaning it has for me. So if you want to read, Kim, there's a little commentary slide which quite useful. So maybe read that and then we'll go into the actual lesson. It's a very short mind training lesson. So this is really about the mind and perception, changing our minds by changing our perception. That's the course's technology. And you look at Vipassana, this was the Buddha's idea of letting go of emotions through this meditation. You have two really, really powerful letting go practices in both of them. The one is really about the mind and thought. The other one focuses on feeling and emotion. But both are necessary, both are powerful, and they both have the same objective, which is to free your mind from these negative thoughts and emotions that preoccupy the mind and block your awareness of truth. Okay, so some of you can read that slide just below, given everything, all the meaning it has for me, and then little bits which are illustrated.
Sorry, am I reading from where it says lesson 2?
Yeah, I've given everything.
I have given everything all the meaning it has for me. I have taken something that is essentially neutral and devoid of meaning, and like some mad graffiti artist, poured my own very subjective meanings on it. Now, all that I see is polluted with me, but I am glad form and meaning are not fused together, and I can drain or wipe away our meaning anytime I want.
Yeah, so it's some really profound stuff here. I love that line. Now all that I see is polluted with me. Right, so we pollute our perceptions of the world with our self-concept. And we don't realize that's what we're doing, but that is what we're doing. And so our self-concept is intrinsic, embedded in to all of our perceptions, which are then negative and tainted and corrupted and polluted. But the truth is that none of that meaning is true. We've just created that meaning. We've made up that meaning, which then perpetuates our separate self. So we can choose to change our mind and let go of all the meaning that we've given everything, because it's just our own meaning that we've projected onto what is essentially meaningless. First lesson tells us nothing here means anything. Essentially meaningless. So why does it seem to mean so much? Because we've given it the meaning that it has for us. And we continuously do that, create and recreate meaning, because that's how the ego survives. If its projections have a meaning, then so does it have a meaning. It must also be meaningful if the world that it projected is meaningful. See, and so by denying the meaning of the world, you also deny the meaning of the ego. Which is why it's terrified of this kind of work, kind of self-inquiry and letting go work, because it collapses the ego ultimately. Okay, does that make sense? just
yeah. In other words, the form, you can give it another meaning. So if they're not fused together, then you can give the form any meaning you want.
Yeah, exactly. You think that form and meaning are fused together. That's the ego's misperception. But in fact, those meanings that you've given to form are made up, false associations that you've come to believe are true. And you can question those. It starts with questioning them. This is what these lessons are designed to do. And then actively let go of the meaning that you've given these things. And no, this isn't actually the meaning I choose anymore, because the meaning that I've chosen with my ego doesn't make me happy. So on that basis alone, it should be questioned. If I'm not happy with the world as I perceive it, then everything should come into question, because I want to be happy. So clearly something's wrong. Something's amiss. And these mind training exercises are simple but very powerful ways of correcting our minds, starting to right the wrong perception, change our minds about the world. Okay, so this lesson emphasizes complete coverage, make no situation an exception. This is important. So full transfer of training means that this mindset, this philosophy of forgiveness or letting go must apply to all situations across the board. If you make one exception, then essentially you're denying the truth and you're believing in an illusion by holding that exception as true. So one exception is disastrous for your mind's awakening and peace of mind, because it contradicts the truth entirely. As long as you believe in it, then that one exception means that you're denying the truth. And then just that last statement, that's a quote from the text actually, chapter 27, section 11, and you will understand, and read that, Kim, you will understand the miracles.
And you'll understand that miracles reflect the simplest statement, I have done this thing, and it is this I would undo.
So you're taking responsibility, you recognize you've made a mistake, you've miscreated the world, you've given it all these false meanings, but it can be undone, and you choose to undo it by letting go of the thoughts and emotions that make up the meaning. What is meaning made up of? Well, it's thoughts and then it's emotions that give everything the meaning that it seems to have. So if you let go of the thought and the emotion that goes with it, then you've let go of its meaning. And so you've undone its meaning in your mind. I've done this thing and that's what I would undo. Okay, so very simple. The first few exercises are very simple, they're not long. So if you just read that. In fact, let's just do it. I'll guide you through it. So this is very simple 1 minute, 2 minute exercise. So just look around, begin with things that are near you, and apply this idea to whatever your glance rests on. So you say, I've given this table, I've given this wall, I've given this chair, I've given this computer, whatever. All the meaning that it has for me. Just say it each time in your mind as you look at any object. Spend a second or two, just do that and move on to something else. And turn your head around, look on the other side. Apply the idea to anything behind you. The idea is to remain as indiscriminate as possible in selecting subjects. So it doesn't really matter what you look at, it's all the same. Don't concentrate on anything particular, don't attempt to include everything you see. What you're going to do is introduce strain. So it's just whatever you happen to see, and then apply the ideas. So I've given this, whatever it is, name it, all the meaning that it has for me, and then move on to the next thing. Say these things slowly and deliberately. So you're going to glance around pretty easily, quickly, avoiding any kind of selection by any criteria that your mind judges as valuable. So size, brightness, color, material, or something that's seemingly important, something that maybe has more importance to you, more value to you. Just try and park all of that and apply the exercise with equal ease to whatever it is that you happen to see. So use the body, a button, a fly, a floor, an arm, an apple, anything. Sole criterion for applying the idea. Anything as merely as your eyes have rested on it. Make no attempt to include anything particular, but be sure that nothing is specifically excluded. So you get the idea. It's completely indiscriminate, it's completely random. It's applied to whatever you see. So do it for another 30 seconds or so. Looking around whatever you happen to see. Apply the idea in your mind. You can say it out loud as well. I've given this, whatever it is, all the meaning that it has for me. And then finally, I've given everything, to conclude the lesson. So I've given everything I see, all the meaning that it has for me. And that me is the little me. That me is the me of the ego, the little self that has created a meaning for the world, a meaning for everything. And that meaning has become part of the ego's identity. So Jesus knows this, saying by targeting meaning, by letting go of the meaning that you hold, it's the most powerful way of undoing the ego, because it's made up of these false meanings. Literally, when you're made up the meaning of the world, gave it all this false meaning, and now we have apparently a self that is perceiving this meaningless world. And the self-concept and the meaningless world are really integrally linked. And by letting go of our meaning that we give to the world, we're also letting go of the self-concept that made it up and has given it all this meaning. That's the idea behind the lesson. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So really, really simple. I mean, this is not complex stuff. It's one simple idea, but very, very profound, very powerful. Just by practicing the simple idea and the simple mind training exercise, you are starting to correct your mind and starting to correct your perception, which is what we're doing. It's just the first couple of lessons saying, well, let's make a start. And very casual. He's not asking us to do more than 2-3 minutes in the day. So you do it twice in the day, once in the morning for about a minute, once in the evening for about a minute, and then you're done. So just an introductory part of introducing us to this process of mind training that the workbook contains, and which we're going to go through over the next year. Okay, so any other thoughts or comments, questions on the lesson, on yesterday's lesson? Nothing I see means anything. Yeah, it's along the same lines. Not really going into too much intellectual explanation, just asking you to practice the lesson in a certain way, and then you start learning by your experiences. So whatever experiences you have, that's the learning from the lesson. Okay. All right, so how are we doing on time? It is now 8:35, so we've got a little bit of time just to do one more thing. So maybe let's dive into that. Going to have a look at the course manual. Course information exercise pack. We're on the next set of pathways. Let's do pathway 7. If we have time, we'll do 8 as well. Let's see how we go. So this is about interacting with others. The first, maybe let's just summarize the first 6. So Kim, if you want to read the first 6, just the key ideas. Freeing myself, there's 3, and then being here now, 4, 5, and 6. Because these are part of the whole system. They prepare us for the next set, which is all about relationships, interacting with others. Okay, so if you can read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
I'm freeing myself. I'm freeing myself from security, sensation, and power addictions that make me try to forcefully control situations in my life, and so destroy my serenity and keep me from loving myself and others. I'm discovering how my consciousness dominating addictions create my illusory version of the changing world of people and situations around me. I welcome the opportunity, even if painful, that my moment-by-moment experience offers me to become aware of the addictions I must reprogram to be liberated from my robot-like emotional patterns.
Okay, so just pause there. So the first 3 are really about freeing ourselves from these addictions or attachments, security, sensation, power, addictions, which deny the truth of who we are. This is how the ego continuously reinforces and perpetuates itself. And until we confront these addictions and start letting them go, we can't access our true self. These addictions cover over who we really are. So it's saying, the process is very simple. Start looking at these addictions and letting them go to free your mind. So you're reprogramming your mind, so you're liberated from these robot-like emotional patterns that addictions are, which then frees your mind to be more present. So the next set is all about being here now, being in the present moment, which you start to be able to do more naturally once you let go of your addictions. Because you're not focused on the past or the future anymore. You just clean your awareness and you come naturally into present moment awareness. Okay, so next one, being here now, if you read 4, 5, and 6.
Being here now, I always remember that I have everything I need to enjoy my here and now, unless I am letting my consciousness be dominated by demands and expectations based on the dead past or imagined future. I take full responsibility here and now for everything I experience, for it is my own programming that creates my actions and also influences the reactions of people around me. I accept myself completely here and now and consciously experience everything I feel, say, and do, including my emotion-backed addictions, as a necessary part of my growth into higher awareness.
Okay, so thoughts on that? And those 3, what's he saying there in summary?
Or we take full responsibility of how we think, feel, and act in response to what's happening. And with that, we choose to enjoy what's here and now rather than being dominated by demands of what's going on externally to us, which is thoughts maybe from a past, worrying about the future.
Yeah, based on the dead past and recent future. So addictions very much keep the timeline alive in our mind. We're expecting an addiction says, in the future, I expect some kind of relief, pleasure, and I'm trying to escape the pain of my past. And so I compulsively, demand and expect something in the future because of this painful past, and just saying let it all go. You take responsibility for everything. Say, look, this is my own programming, which I can let go now. That programming manifests itself as my demands and expectations based on the dead past or amazing future, and so I can let those go as they arise, and then I accept myself completely here and now and allow myself to consciously experience everything I feel, think, say, and do, including whatever emotion-backed addictions come up, as a necessary part of my growth into a higher awareness. So confronting your emotion-backed addictions is a necessary part. It's not terrible, it's not awful, it's exactly what you need to do in order to awaken. All perfect in its imperfection, in other words. And then you can start forgiving yourself and going, well, I also needed to create these emotion-backed addictions because I wanted to perpetuate my ego with them, but now I know better, I can make a different choice and I can start letting that go and healing my mind. And that's what we call growth into higher awareness. By letting go of false awareness, we grow back into higher awareness. Become more present, we free ourselves of addictions, we become more present. And having laid that foundation, that prepares us now for a different way of interacting or relating to others. So number 7, you can read that, Kim. And then we'll go into the more detailed version of it.
Okay.
Let's just go there. Right. So number 7, interacting with others. So there's a little introduction there. So read that, and then we'll discuss it. And we'll discuss each paragraph as we go. So read the introductory paragraph to pathways 7 to 9, interacting with others.
Flowing rather than manipulation is the way of higher awareness. Flowing means moving with the forces around us and being in tune with the vibrations of the people and things in our environment. Flowing enables us to find the love, beauty, and peace that we may seem to be missing in our lives.
Yeah, it's talking about higher awareness, talking about the flow, not resisting things. Resisting is a primary part of the ego's existence. It spends life resisting the world and life, and so it's out of flow continuously. And that resistance means that it thinks that it's separate from other people and the world around it. Because what could resist what is except a separate self? Whereas by letting it go, we start finding our flow in life, and that enables us to find the love, beauty, and peace that we may seem to be missing in our lives, which is always there, but it's covered over by our resistance. The Buddha called resistance aversion. So he called aversion is just another form of craving, because you craving, you wanting, desiring something shouldn't be what it is, shouldn't be that way. Oh, if only this wasn't that way, then I'd be happy. That's aversion or resistance in modern psychological terms, which doesn't help you to find your flow or be happy in any way. Okay, so seventh pathway, if you can read that, Kim. First paragraph in bold, first sentence really in bold.
I open myself genuinely to all people by being willing to fully communicate my deepest feelings, since hiding in any degree keeps me stuck in my illusion of separateness from other people.
Okay, thoughts on that? What's he saying there?
Just be open. Otherwise, which helps you to be more connected to others.
Yeah, hiding in any degree keeps me stuck in my illusion of separateness from other people. So if I hide, what's hiding? It's my ego hiding. My ego doesn't want to connect with other people. It doesn't want to recognize its oneness with other people. So it hides away and says, I'm going to hide in my separate self, in my darkness. And I'm not going to communicate my deepest feelings. I'll suppress them, I'll repress them, I won't tell anyone. And that, of course, maintains the illusion of a separate self. I, separate self, now have all of these separative emotions, and they are mine, and I'm not sharing them. And when we don't communicate and we don't share, it festers. These things fester in our mind. And if we do that over and over, they become a part of our identity. Rather than letting them go, we're reinforcing them whenever we hold on to them and we don't communicate them. Okay. Let's read the next 3 paragraphs just to get some commentary on that. So as you begin to upgrade all your addictions.
As you begin to upgrade all your addictions to the status of preferences or eliminate them entirely, you will discover that you no longer have anything to hide from other people. It then feels good to be able to communicate with other people exactly what you're experiencing. As you grow into higher awareness through eliminating your addictions, you'll be able to drop all the deceptive and manipulative games you have been playing.
Yeah, so let's pause it there. What's he saying there? Quite profound, actually. Commentary on how the ego works, how addiction plays out. Any thoughts, Kim?
Well, basically saying to let go of the addictions where you don't feel like you rely on them. So if it's upgrading them to something like a preference, it has less meaning for you if you partake in what was an addiction. You know, a preference is like, for example, I don't know, food. You have that chocolate, but it doesn't matter if you don't. Well, then,
yeah, exactly.
There's not an obsession. Yeah.
So easy come, easy go. It's like, okay, if I don't have it, it's no big deal. I'm not really too bothered. It was just a preference. But an addiction is, I need this, I want this, and if I don't get what I want or need, then I get really upset. And so you distinguish between a preference and addiction by the extent of the upset. Preference, no big deal, no upset, no drama. Addiction, big upset, big drama. And obviously, the bigger the addiction, the bigger the upset and the drama when you don't get what you think you need. So it's really about observing those patterns in your own mind. And when you spot an addiction because you're upset because you didn't get what you think you wanted and needed, rejoice. So this is great. I've just found another addiction. or attachment that I can let go of. And then you drop all the deceptive, manipulative games you've been playing. So what the ego says is, I'm going to manipulate other people in the world to get what I want, because I need this. Above all else, I need this. So it doesn't really matter what I do to get it. I'll manipulate, I'll control, I'll deceive, I'll do whatever to get what I think I want, because that's what the ego says is good. And so you get very deceptive, manipulative, abusive behavior as a result. And if you've ever had experience with an addict, serious addict, then you'll know, right? Lots of deception, lots of manipulation, lots of mind games. And really all the addict wants is to get their fix. They will do anything to get their fix and what they think they need and want. Of course, they're physically addicted, but it starts with a thought system, and then that plays out in the physical, because they're now addicted to a substance of some sort, usually. It could be an activity like sex, substances like alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, and so on. And you notice that the more addicted someone is, the more they play these deceptive, manipulative games. And they're not very nice people. Anyone will tell you, serious addicts are a nightmare to live with, because you can't trust them. There's no honesty. All of that goes out the window. It's really the worst of the ego. So he's saying, let's drop that and start freeing our minds and freeing other people from all the deceptive, manipulative games you've been playing as well. Because it's not fun being in a relationship with people who are deceptive and manipulative. Okay, so the next one, when you're not completely open and truthful to everyone.
When you are not completely open and truthful to everyone, i.e., when you are trying to hide some of your inner thoughts and feelings from them, you perpetuate and strengthen the illusion of separation from others. One of the ways to escape from this wall of isolation is to communicate, well, here I am. This is what my addictions are making me feel here and now. I accept myself, including my addictions, as being on an unfolding journey towards a more peaceful state of loving awareness.
Yeah, nice. A nice, really kind, compassionate thing to say to yourself. Okay, so this is what I'm feeling now. I'm being triggered. These addictions are showing up. But I accept that this is part of the journey of awakening towards a more peaceful state of loving awareness. And so it's all perfect in its imperfection. And I just need to work through these feelings. Might take a while, but I'm just willing to persevere, work through them, let them go, so that I find more peace. If you do that and you find more peace, then you're practicing the course, and ultimately you will let them all go. You'll drop them all. Now that might take months, years to do, but just honor the process. It's going to take us as long as it needs to take. And that's really the only purpose of time in your life, in time. To journey this, the unfolding journey towards a more peaceful state of loving awareness is what your life is really for. That's the true meaning and purpose of your life. So you can just accept that, and life becomes a lot easier. If you deny it, then you try and find meaning and purpose in and through your desires, attachments, and addictions, and you won't ever find it. It's going to be disappointed your entire life. Okay. Next one, last paragraph. If you're at the beginning of your journey,
if you are at the beginning of your journey into higher awareness, you may find it helpful to communicate quickly and openly with others so that your relationships are always upfront. Remember, hiding separates, openness unites. You'll realize that open communication of your innermost feelings helps you and other people to become free of the addictive programming of the ego, which in the long run only produces unhappiness, isolation, and alienation.
Any thoughts on that?
Well, I think overall it's saying ways to be upfront, but I think in context sometimes it's not always the best option.
Well, interesting you mentioned that, because the ninth pathway says I act freely when I'm tuned in, centered, and loving, but if possible, I avoid action when I'm emotionally upset and depriving myself of the wisdom that flows from love and expanded awareness. So if I'm upset, if I'm triggered, that isn't probably the right time to share. Get myself into the right state, and then I share. So those pathways seem to contradict each other. This is almost like a stopgap. It's just like okay, so pause. Don't just put out all of your negativity if you're feeling triggered, because it's not going to be helpful. Do it when you've let go, when you've calmed down, you're more peaceful, tuned in, centered, and loving, as he describes it. And then, then you're in a better position to express whatever's in your mind, and it's going to come out very differently. So it's working with these two pathways. The one says share as quickly as possible, but the caveat to that is if you're feeling triggered and you're not tuned in, centered, and loving, then don't. Just pause. Take time out. But you can say to someone, look, I actually can't interact right now. I can't communicate with you. I need some time. I need some space. Just give me some space. You can do that. And, then you go away and you calm yourself down by practicing some of these techniques, letting go, forgiveness, breath work, meditation, and so on. And then you come back to them when you're in a better state and you say, okay, thanks. I appreciate you giving me the time. I'm in a better state now. Okay, I'm ready to talk about it. That's open, that's mature and open communication is what he's trying to guide us into. Most people don't behave this way. Most relationships are toxic and dysfunctional because people aren't awakening to these truths and loving these pathways. But you can do that. It's a choice.
Or else you might be dealing with a psychopath or quite a heavy narcissist. And then it's like, what if you're going to be open, they're going to take whatever you have
but then you see your choice is to say, okay, I see what's going on here. I see what your mindset is and what your pattern is, and maybe you're not open to change because narcissists and psychopaths and so on aren't generally. The ego is very, very strong. They're actually ill. They're mentally ill. So your choice can be, look, I'm
you have to protect yourself and get away from that situation rather than like being open about things.
No, but you can be open about how you're feeling. Say, look, this isn't working for me at all. I'm not comfortable sharing, and so I'm not going to interact and communicate. And you can choose to not engage with that person again. That's a choice. I mean, our experience with our friend Steve, and that for me was a great lesson, because it's like, okay, at some point you've got to say no to that. It's like, no, I'm not engaging with you because it's dysfunctional, it's narcissistic, and it's the same pattern, and it's probably never going to get better because this person is, so entrenched in the ego, they don't want to look at it. So, okay, just move away. And like when I had those conversations, they were very liberating. They weren't easy conversations because I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm done with this. And then, there's various like debates and arguments and projection and attack and so on going on. But by just saying I'm done, that's open, honest communication. So even, when you're dealing with those kinds of people, you can be open and honest, and maybe it just means you make a choice to leave that relationship and just be open and honest in your communication about it, rather than going, oh, well, I can't really say anything, and I don't want to upset the person. And then you're in codependency and victimhood. And of course, that person kind of wants to foster that. They like having some power over you. So you can see how these apply, even in a situation like that. They can help you to free yourself. So eventually, like I remember when I finally, said what I'd been thinking for a long time to, it was a relief. I'm just like, okay, I'm being upfront. I should have said this long ago, but I'm just going to say it. And then that means that the relationship is going to break up. We're not going to work together anymore. We're not going to be friends. We're going to just move apart. And that's okay. But it required, an open, honest conversation. I've actually had several of those, when a relationship breaks up, a friendship, a business partnership, an intimate relationship, you sometimes have to have these pretty open, frank, honest conversations. And it's very liberating when you do, because you're actually standing for your truth. You're saying, and I'm going to express it. And if you don't like it, well, that's tough. I'm just expressing what I'm feeling, and I'm being authentic. And if that means we can't relate anymore, then we just, we move apart. And those relationships then just broke up, and I didn't deal with those people anymore, which was actually much better in the long run, because those relationships weren't actually adding value in my life. They were just a source of pain. So you can see then how, applying the 7th pathway along with the 9th can really help you to live in a conscious, authentic, and loving way, even if it means saying no. No, I'm not doing that anymore, because why am I enslaving myself to the ego? Why am I engaging in a toxic, dysfunctional, codependent relationship? I don't need to do that anymore. So I'm going to tell you, and you're not going to like it, but then that gives you permission to move away. If you never say anything, then how does the person know? And it's just, the relationship continues on the same dysfunctional basis. So part of, problem with victims of abuse is they're just too scared to speak up. They don't do open, honest communication. They just hide it. They separate. But as soon as they're open about it, then they can free themselves. Sometimes that requires courage, obviously, because if the person is mentally, emotionally, or physically abusive, they might then abuse you, but at least you've said it and it's off your chest, and then you can make choices appropriately.
Yeah, although the situation can be very difficult, more extreme. I mean, they actually, like, their lives are threatened. Look at the P. Diddy case. I mean, that's...
Yeah, but there's always a way. There is always a way. So there's help. If you're willing to say no, then you go, okay, so there is a way of extracting myself from this, but I have to say no. I spoke to a lady once who'd been in an abusive relationship for about 20 years. It was quite fascinating. She said, well, so tell me more about it. Like, what did you go through and how did you get out of it? Because I was really interested. She said, I had to realize that I was part of it. I was part of the problem. I couldn't just blame her husband, who was abusive. I was playing my part in it. It was a codependent relationship, and so I was playing the victim. He was playing the aggressor, the persecutor. But I had to realize that I was very much part of it, and the only way out was to say enough. I'm done with that game, and with the ego identity that wants to play that game. So there was an awakening had to happen. And once she made the choice and she said, okay, I'm done with this, she said, you know, yeah, I managed to free myself from it. I moved away and I found a way to, you know, to create a new life. It wasn't easy, but she was able to do it because what was keeping her stuck was her own ego and mind that was attached to the relationship. It wanted her to continue suffering and being the victim. She had to make a conscious choice to say no to that, communicate that, and then she found a way out. So, you know, how did you find a way out? Well, she said, I just decided to move out one day, and I didn't have, yeah, I think she wasn't financially empowered. She didn't have money. But she had some friends. She went and stayed with them, and she figured it out. She started, you know, she realized, okay, I can start doing stuff. She upskilled herself. She started, I think, a massage business, and you know, slowly but surely, she kind of found her feet away from this abusive man and relationship. But it required her to decide that, and then to communicate that. Say, okay, I'm done. You know, I'm leaving. If you ever watched the movie As It Is in Heaven, one of the film studies we'll do some stage in the program. Great Swedish subtitled movie, and in it there's a woman called Gabriella who is married to an abusive guy who was the town bully who bullied the sort of hero of the story, the conductor. And you know, part of the story is how she frees herself, because he inspires her to find her true voice, literally singing. It's a great song called Gabriella's Song, that kind of theme of the whole movie. And she communicates that in song. He's there listening, and basically she's saying, when she's singing that, I'm free, right? I'm done. You can't control me anymore. And you see his face going really, you know, dark and black. And then he, you know, when they get home, he attacks her. She weathers that, but then she's like, right, I'm done. I'm leaving. She gets in her car, she takes her kids, and she leaves. And she goes and she stays with someone else in the community who, you know, rally around her because she's now part of the choir and this community, and they support her. And then he comes, you know, trying to get her back, and everyone just stands there and says, no, it's not happening. You know, you're facing 30 people who are standing against you, not just one, so you can't bully us. Very, very, you know, powerful part of that movie. Great movie, actually, to watch, which we'll do as part of the Isolating Go program. Okay, so I know you said you wanted to end at 9. It's now 10 past, sorry, your time, 10 past 11. We could go on, but we can cover this in the next couple of days. We'll do pathways 8 and 9. So join us if you can tomorrow night. If you want to, we'll do 8 and 9 tomorrow.
Yeah,
same time. All right. So shall we leave it there? See you tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. UK time, 9 p.m. SA time. Archie, you're going to join us. Is Archie still there? You're going to join us tomorrow. Hopefully you're feeling better, and you'll be able to participate tomorrow. So best wishes.
Yeah, hope you feel better, Archie.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Thanks, Kim.
All right. Thanks, Jono. Namaste.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Keep well. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Cheers, Archie. Hopefully see you tomorrow. Hopefully you get a good night's sleep, and thoughts and prayers are